What's up YouTube? It's your boy Black Amari here, and we're talking about some Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, man. Hey, the streets is hot, bro. They're saying that there's a patch that's coming soon, it's imminent, so I'm saying, hey, before we get off this version, why not, break down what's going on in the meta, my thoughts on the characters and whatnot, and see what goes from there. If you need any qualifications for why you should listen to my opinions, well currently I have 475 hours in the game for 1/42 or something like that on the first nasb PR. I'm currently one of the scene's main commentators. Naturally, I play this game a lot, I'm thinking about it a lot, so if there's anyone who knows what's going on, at least a little bit, that's me. Starting off the low tiers, we have Reptar. Reptar being here might kind of be a little bit surprising for you if you haven't really kept up with the meta of Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. I mean, he has a down B that does 30%, and people were crazy about that for a while. But I mean, aside from that, I don't think he has too much going for him right now. Of course, he has the normal platform fighter heavyweight problems going on. It's terrible at disadvantage state. Everyone combos him to death. And on top of that, despite him being a very defensive character that's meant to take advantage of, mistakes and stuff like that from your opponents, he kind of isn't that great defensively. He has some good stuff, don't get me wrong, armor on his down specials, for example, is one of the main things to look out for, but overall it just doesn't really amount to much. It's his advantage state is not nearly as good as his disadvantage state is bad. Despite being able to rack up a bunch of damage with that, he ironically struggles to kill a little bit if you get him to a high enough percent. I mean, even though I think he's the worst character in the game right now, you can still definitely get matchup checked by him. Super armor is always a little bit dangerous to deal with. Does a lot of damage, but overall, yeah, he's kind of bad in the context of this game. The average power level of characters is just so high that Reptar kind of gets left in the dust a little bit. Funny enough, though, you mentioned getting left in the dust. Next bad character we have in low tier is the Earthbender, Toph. Now, Toph is kind of bad in a different way than Reptar. Reptar has a bad neutral game, does a lot of damage, while Toph's neutral game I think is actually pretty good overall, and plus she can reaction tech chase you a lot. That's something I may get into more in this video, may not, maybe another video. In theory she should be able to keep up, but her biggest problem is just really just keeping up with the pace of the game. Theoretically she has always good things going for her, good strong attacks, pretty good projectile, very fast ground speed, but I mean, when you have to work at least twice as hard as every other character in the game to get your kills, you kind of just get left. Stocks in this game can just be gone in too fast, you know what I'm saying? So I mean, also doesn't really help that she's lacks a bit of range actually, now that I think about it. So and there's also two others I have down here in low tier. I think they're both a bit better than these two are, but not by too much. One of them is Michelangelo, and it's another one that you may be surprised to be here if you haven't really followed the scene, because when this game first came out, he had a very infamous, nair loop to death that was very easy to get and very degenerate. Some people kind of rated him broken tier because of that, but I don't know. After that got nerfed, he's fallen off dramatically, honestly. Theoretically, he's, a great rushdown character with very good recovery and a bunch of cool moves and stuff like that, and honestly, a lot of his normals are very long reaching, light down air, nair, both great, amazing moves still. But he's another one of those characters that, similar to Toph, kind of gets, lapped a bit. Not as badly as Toph, but he still kind of struggles to get kills compared to a lot of these other characters we have coming up in the tier list. His recovery is also pretty exploitable. It was found out that you can just kind of just hold ledge against the tether and he's just forced to get up and you can just punch him from there. So really, he's a very cool character though, and pretty good on paper. It's just that there's a few things that are very crucial to being good in this game, holding him back, that he just does not have. His combo game is not the greatest. He has pretty bad frame data and not that much kill potential, so it kind of just kills a lot of hope for this character, which is kind of sad because he's pretty cool, man. Little shell spin thing and pizza slice too. He got some tools, dude, but it's just it's not enough. Then we have the last of our low tiers down here, and it makes me a little sad to put him down here because I kind of believed in him for a little while. Lincoln Loud, the man with the plan. He does not have the plan in this game though, and generally just functions as a pretty good mid-range character with some decent juggle potential. He also has, water gun, which is a really weird but pretty good move actually. That can be canceled for a very long time in the animation. I mean, he's pretty good at setting up, kills at the bottom blast zone by getting dares off, because his light dare is very good. In fact, a lot of his light normals are pretty good. The kind of downside to them is that despite having great range and pretty good speed, they're do absolutely no damage. And you're playing against someone better, they'll often check you on the DI, making sure they DI out all these strings and make it much harder for you to get them, essentially. Not to mention, I also think that his recovery is so bad. In my opinion, probably the worst in the game right now. Some people may think that's a bit harsh, but I mean, his up B is bad. The hitbox doesn't come out till like he reaches the top of its ascent. It's very slow, doesn't go that far. Like, if he's off stage, then he should probably be dead. I'm not gonna hold you. And I don't know, it feels like he's just so frustratingly close to being, decent with the other mid tiers, but he just falls a bit short to me. It's kind of sad. Well, now that we're out of the low tier section, we are now moving on up to the mid tier section. And starting off that mid tier, we actually have our newest character on the roster getting added last month. Garfield. Garfield's a pretty interesting one. He feels like a bit of a jack of all trades type character, master of none. I see people consider him a zoner, but I mean, yeah, Pi and Pookie are very good tools for that. He also has a pretty good brawling ability, having a great jab, for example. You link into itself or combo into itself on DI in. If you DI out, you can get a dash attack a lot of the time. And that combo can just often juggle and just lead to the magic stick, as we call it, is down strong. And that sends it a very brutal angle that's very hard to recover from. But the main thing he lacks, though, is just solid robbery potential. And that sounds very weird, low-key, but being able to, just rob stocks very early is a very important thing to have in this game. If you don't, you kind of just get outpaced, like what happens to Michelangelo and Toph, as we talked about before. And a lot of characters can get, that little double down there, 2-3 down airs in a row type combo you see a lot. Garfield cannot, because he decided to be unique when he pulled up. And that little spin dare, the fox dare, it's good offensively. It has its uses, but it's just you would rather have a fast spike over that any day of the week in this game. And also, you can kind of run into that same problem as Lincoln sometimes, where he kind of just struggles to get KOs at some percents. I mean, his strongs have a lot of hit stun, but their knockback is, not always the best. I mean, I don't know. Garfield, he's good. He's definitely above these bottom characters, but could be better. Could be better. And then next on our list, we got another animal pulling up to the mid tier. It is Patrick. I mean, thankfully, Patrick has since gotten out of the depths of low tier hell that he was in when the game first came out, but he's still not the best character at all. But I think he's in a pretty good spot right now. He has some pretty good normals, like up tilt, down tilt, and strong nair are all really good, for example. Trophy hat too, man. Trophy hat is so good when setting up to vertical kills. It has so much knockback. Strong dash attack too, it's a freaking great burst option. Great at tech chasing as well. In fact, it's actually, I believe it's the best strong dash attack in the game, pretty much. Also, having both his command grabs in a game where shielding is just incredibly powerful is just so good. Namely, the neutral B is just great at catching people just off guard, sleep the wheel, just holding block on you. Down special, the hug driver. Shout out Carcat, the Carcat hack, especially too, the 360 version. Great for robbing stocks early if you can catch them with it. It's always, a scary thing to have. It makes, fighting against them on even stock counts or at a disadvantage harder, essentially. I feel like he just mainly struggles from normal heavyweight things, just having not amazing neutral, he's combo food. Plus he can just kind of struggle with approaching a lot of the times compared to other characters. I mean, overall, he's pretty good though. Honestly, every character in this game, that's above low tier, I'd say is very viable. Some of these in the mid tier, you're gonna have to work harder than the high tiers and top tiers, of course, but it's still doable. Very doable, man. I don't know. The balance, it's in a weird state where, I mean, the top tiers are just so good, but other characters can keep up to. And one of those characters is the next character on our list, also from SpongeBob, ironically, Sandy Cheeks. She's an interesting character in that most of her moves aren't too crazy. In fact, some of them are pretty bad. Both her dash attacks kind of suck. Same thing with her down tilt, but she surprisingly ends up being much greater than the sum of her parts, I'd say. And that's mostly due to having just some moves that are just insanely good, like jab. Oh man, it's like a freaking anime fighter jab, string low-key. Light down air is great. Lasso's pretty good for pulling him close to the ledge. Setting up to that light dare. She has a small combination of moves that work incredibly well in tandem with each other, but the rest of them aren't the best. I think that combination of things just ends up creating a pretty good character overall, but of course not amazing. As said already, a lot of her moveset isn't very good at all, and she's also just gets prone to being outranged. She has a little get over here lasso, but that can't get you through every situation. From this point on, from Sandy on actually, I'd say that these get into the characters that are just good. There's just no asterisks next to it. I think like 2 asterisks really have to work notably harder than like high tiers. Is just these two, Garfield and Patrick down here, but the rest are good, man. Next character though is Korra. I think she's a very good offensive character. She has some similarities to Sandy, mainly getting a lot of combos off the light dare. Her light dare and Sandy's having this weird slow knockback. They can like, so you can just up throw, down air, down air, down air, and do it again. And plus Korra's are right now optimizing the hell out of, the grab, down throw in the air to dash attack them off, because her dash attack goes very far, setting up into the stomp. It's pretty cool. In general, it's a pretty cool character. She also has dive kick in the air, her aerial down special, which is, whoo, that move goes crazy. That move, it might be like a top 10, maybe top 5 special move in the game. It has ages of block stun and ages of hit stun. If you get hit off stage by it trying to edge guard her, you're dead. If you block it, you're probably gonna eat a grab unless you yellow block. I can't overstate how good that move is. I'm gonna just say that. Despite that though, she still has some moves that don't really work properly, and is prone to getting outraged sometimes, similar to Sandy. Yeah, no, it feels weird putting her down here even, because I feel like she could potentially move up. Oh, she also has some good normals too. How did I not mention up strong? That up strong, bro, it's so fast. It's like a Shoryuken, basically. It's a great get off me tool. It's like frame 3, I think, startup, which is insane. Granted, it doesn't kill that often, but it's still good, bro. Yeah, no, Korra's fine. And next at the top of our mid tier, we have Ren and, if I can find them, what the heck? Ren and Stimpy. I think some people see that light down air and that down strong, the Stimpy, as what's the name? As Coney called it before. Shouts to him. Yeah, they see those two moves, and it's like a natural expectation that that's all this character amounts to, because those two things are so good. But honestly, nah. I think this character is better than most people think and is fairly underexplored. I know Blazing Pasta is very good. He's amazing with this character. He does crazy shit with this character. But even still, I think there's just more that can be found out with this character. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, in terms of their viability, the gimmick of both characters swinging simultaneously that runs through a lot of their moves kind of lends themselves to having these big ass grown man hitboxes, you know what I'm saying? And so just naturally having these large hitboxes like light down air, like down tilts, like your up air, it's like really good and does a lot to improve their neutral game. Their neutral game is actually really good, I'd say. They have a lot of interesting moves, like Nair, for example, having 2 hitboxes, one that you can combo off of being Ren, and the other pushes them back, which is Stimpy. The up air that's down air as well on the other side. And they got, honestly, the best grounded strong in the game with the down strong, the Stimpy. It's just so applicable, dude. It's a great burst option. It can help you edge guard. You can set up into a spike off a forward throw. It has like an insane amount of range because of how far Ren steps, dude. It's so good. Their combo game is pretty solid as well, so I think they're very close to being a high tier actually. But the main things they have are, again, as we talk about with Patrick, the normal heavyweight things coming back to hold him back a bit. And the disadvantage is very bad, as well as their combo food essentially. Having a move that absorbs other moves in his down B helps, but it doesn't alleviate the problem or the disadvantage. Also, their recovery sucks too. It's the second worst in the game, I feel. Having the fart to mix it up makes it better than Lincoln's in my eyes, but I don't know, it's still very, very bad. Yeah, no, I think Ren and Stimpy is definitely those characters to look out for. I think with a couple more buffs, actually, they can just be high tier, maybe even top tier in some day in the future. I wouldn't be surprised. But right now, I think that's where they're at. As the 12 characters down here, I think they're high tier or above. Maybe controversial depending on who you are for those who play this game, but yeah, I think this game has a lot of good characters. Starting off this high tier, we have Oblina. Now, Oblina is a very weird case where I think it was the Garfield patch that accidentally made her sludge or neutral B, the little goop thing. It made it so that it's cannot be interacted with at all. And naturally having a hazard you can set up that you can't touch or break at all, this is a bit problematic. And she's naturally gotten a lot of hype in the competitive community for it, but I don't know, I don't quite see it. I mean, some people put this character at like top 3, like that's just absurd to me right now. Honestly, the main good thing about her is, yeah, that sludge, it can't be interacted with, so you can just throw it down on the ground. It's essentially just a little stage hazard. They gotta jump around it. And you have a good amount of freedom to just, do what you want on neutral because of it. Also, the big thing too is that the meta right now revolves around reaction tech chasing, which is basically just seeing their get up option on knockdown and be able to react to that with an option of your own. Having something on the ground that you can't get past makes that a bit worse against them. Some people think that's enough to put them in top 3. I don't know. I think you can just play your normal game plan that does not involve that and still be pretty good against her. I don't think she's amazing. Her trash is good and kind of like function as a ghetto version of SpongeBob's Bubble. It's more a ghetto version of it because it's on a worse character. She can play a pretty good zoning game depending on the matchup she's in, but I don't know. She doesn't have that much range on her. Her combo game isn't all there, even after the DI got reverted to 14 DI in this patch, which is going back in the next patch, by the way, so don't be used to that. And I don't see it. I don't see that. Next up on the list, we have the game's other zoner, Zim. This may be outdated a little bit because I've seen a lot of the talk amongst the Zim mains. They're very hype on this character right now. But not to say, he's still incredibly good though based on this placement. His neutral game's crazy. Light and air lasts for 6 frames, is huge, and it clinks with a lot. You have Guri, which is an entity of itself that can just control the flow of the match so well. They have to play around it, essentially. You have to play your game based on Guri, essentially. You can get some wow damage off, that, as well as Gnome, too. He also has a great down tilt for RTCing as well, so, I mean, this character is just very strong, man. His main downside though is just the price of being by far not by far, but definitely the lightest character in the game. And sometimes you just explode at early percents. So that makes playing this character a bit harder than the other high and top tiers, but it's very worth it. I think this character is very good, honestly. Also, his recovery is not the best. It recently got buffed where it snatches ledge faster and is much faster in general, but it's still no hitbox above of it automatically means it's kind of bad. Yeah, I did not plan to have both the zoners next to each other. That's kind of just how things turned out to be. But anyway, moving on to the next character, we have definitely not a zoner. Oh shit. Nigel Thornberry, you're not top tier, buddy. Either way, Nigel Thornberry is really good. He's pretty much the game's juggle monster. You can get a lot of up airs. And like really, his up air chains be hitting crazy. Like, he also pretty good with the RTCs. If you RTC them properly, you can go for a snap KO on them, depending on the percent they're at. Also, his out of shield game is just so good. Not only does he have snap, which is a bit unreliable out of shield because of how little range it has, but he also has down tilt, which is so fast and goes very far. It can punch a lot of things on shield. Also, he just straight up has an air dodge with a worm, so naturally that's really good. Yeah, I don't know, he's just a very good offensive character. His offensive presence is always really scary. He also has a really good neutral game too, so this character is just very strong. They do lack a little bit of the robbery potential though, due to not having a traditional light dare. He has, the little hawk dive, which adds to his mobility, which is a great thing. His mobility is amazing in the air, but it also means he can't really cover below himself that great, if that makes sense. Still though, phenomenal character. And next we have my personal main character. If you know me, you know I love this character to death in this game, Helga Pataki. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about Helga right now just because I have a lot of guide content coming out that talks about her already, so stay tuned for that. Helga is basically this game's quintessential all-around type character where she's very strong in a lot of aspects. She's good at brawling. Her zoning game is really good with light and air as well as a slingshot. Slingshot in general is just an amazing projectile, one of the best in the game. It has a counter as well that can just counter all that mashing you tend to see in this game sometimes. And in terms of reaction tech chasing, she is up there with one of the best of them as well. You can just get a slingshot into a dare as well and just get a tech chase set up off of that. She's just really good. Her main problem is really just being a jack of all trades. While she's good at a lot of things, they're just characters that outclass her in things that are important to be good at in this game. which is why I put her where I do. In general, she's just mad underrated because honestly, I'm the main one that puts in work for this character. And even then, I'm focusing on commentary now, so it's like, I want more people to shine with this character because she's so good. Next up on the list of our characters, we're getting down to the nitty gritty of it, the good characters. First off is CatDog. It's funny because people thought he was overhyped at the launch because they saw Updog kill it absurdly early percents, and then they kind of fell off on him, and now he's kind of up there again. So he's been all over the place in terms of viability rankings among the community, but I think right now he's agreed to be very good, very strong character. They're functionally this game's sort of glass cannon character where they do a lot of damage and have a good combo and juggle potential, but when they get hit very hard. It's kind of a trade-off actually. They can low profile a lot of things because of just how low they stand naturally, and crouch especially, but at the same time when they get hit they tend to stretch out like a goddamn rubber hose, bro. And you just become so easy to hit that you basically become combo food as well, as weird as it is. Like, you're not like a heavyweight, you just tend to get comboed very heavily. Also with some of their strongs too, they go very far, but sometimes, especially on the Updog and Upcat, the hurt boxes tend to come out before their hit boxes, so you can take advantage of that as well. Aside from that though, man, this character is very good. Very fun too, on a personal note. It has some great normals, down tilt up and juggles, jab is very fast, light down air is good, snare is amazing. In general, they're just very good in this sort of very fast paced sort of game where you like scrapping, and they're just great at that essentially. I don't know, do I want to put, well the next character was Danny. Do I want to put him in high tier or top tier? I think I'll keep it high tier. Danny's a character that got much better off of DI reduction. His combo game is not only a lot better, but he also has a much easier time of killing, which is his main weakness before. That's just for right now though. Next patch is of course reverting the DI back from 14 degrees to 16 degrees. Even still, man, when that happens, he's still gonna be in a very good spot. He's a very interesting character. He's one of the weirder ones too because he just has a lot of interesting mobility options. So you see like TT1 or Choco play, for example, you see them just zooming all over the damn place. Calvin too. He's very scrappy, so he's naturally going to be in your face a lot, moving in your face a lot. And a lot of that revolves around his air strongs, which is a very interesting way of doing things, like air down strong and crashes to the ground, air up strong and loops him in the air. Shit like that. That's a double-edged sword a bit, because that naturally causes a lot of RPS mind games. And RPS, of course, being the rock, paper, scissors mechanic, where strong airs beat strong up airs beat strong down airs, strong down airs beat strong airs. Whether that's a good thing or bad thing for Danny depends on the player-to-player matchup, pretty much. So it's a very interesting experience fighting him and fighting as him, really. Then, man, his light dare, dude, his light dare makes his robbery potential very high. His main issue really is very bad recovery as well. I mean, he has things to help him get to the ledge without using his up special, but if he uses up special, it has so much startup, you can just spike him. Just go down there, beat his ass, and then come back to the stage. It's not a threat. But yeah, no, in terms of just, the close range scrappy characters, he's one of the better ones for sure. Now, we're getting to the top of the top, we're getting to the cream of the crop? I think that's how you say that. I think that's the phrase. We're getting to these last 6 characters. You can see them on the screen right now, actually. They're the top tiers, but which order will they be in? I don't know. Starting off top tier, we have Lucy Loud. Now, a lot of the things that she did early in this game's meta using the vampire mode is not that important right now. Generally, her ghost mode and vampire modes are both right now not really worth the trade-offs in terms of getting worse recoveries, being lighter / slower, and just being less versatile in general. She generally just likes to stay in her normal mode right now. Instead, a lot of her strengths right now are based off her reaction tech chase ability. Having a very fast teleport you can act pretty much instantly out of is amazing for catching rollaways, let me tell you. It's so good. She's probably the best at doing it in this game. A lot of it is just, throw looping people and trying to, keep them in that vortex for as long as you can. And she's just so good at doing that. She has some pretty good normals. Down tilt is freaking crazy. Strong up air is very crazy too. And teleport, man, just a lot of her viability just comes down to teleport just being crazy. Not only just for tech chasing, but also just as an offensive and neutral tool. It does a lot for her kid, let me tell you. Along with that, she also has a unique trait of not being slowed down when carrying a character. In fact, I think she may speed up a little bit. So she can just kind of hold you and carry you for a lot longer than other characters can. That's a very good thing for such a tech chase reliant character as her. Her main issues though are just recovery and lack of range. Her recovery in particular is very exploitable. The normal one's like by far the best, and it doesn't have a hitbox on top of it, and that's always a bad thing in this game, but it goes very far at least, so there's that. Either way, despite those downsides, the Lucy flowchart, man, it's just so powerful that it just carries her up to this spot in top tier, I feel like. Next, we have the very simple, kind of boring, I think it's boring actually, he's fun in a boring way. That sounds like bullshit, but I'm getting somewhere, hear me out. Leonardo's up there though as the 5th best character in the game. When the hitboxes in this game universally changed, they removed the hitboxes he had closer to his shoulder on a lot of his sword moves though. So his combo game has generally just gotten worse. He has to play the game more. I know, tragic for sure, but nah, he still remains a very good threatening character. He just has these long sword normals. I control neutral very well, control space very well. Swings at people. You can also tech chase with them too with relative ease, just given just how far they stretch. Now, if you're a person that likes to play in them some good old neutral where it's not really neutral and you're mostly just have an advantage in that neutral, Leonardo, you're probably already playing Leonardo if you're playing this game. Also, he has freaking backflip. Backflip is frame 1 invincible and gets you out a lot of tight jams. That's also really good too. And his main thing is like, I sound like a broken record. I'm realizing I'm sounding like a broken record, but his recovery is also pretty exploitable. They can dive kick from like the top left blast zone, but they can still be hit out of that. Up B, just dare his head. His strengths are still very strong, which leads him to being this high on the tier list. And these remaining 4 characters, honestly, they don't, unlike Leonardo and Lucy, I feel like these 4 don't really have very exploitable weaknesses. I know I said balance is good in this game, but I don't know, these 4 are the ones that I wouldn't be surprised to make you question that a little bit. First of them being Powdered Toast Man. Now, PTM, it still makes me laugh just how absurdly wrong people were about this character at the beginning. So many people thought he was just a very bad gimmicky low tier, but no, this character, dude. This character's insane. Of course, if you know one thing about PTM now, it's that he has the drop lick setup where you drop them in the air, shine them, and based on which way they DI that shine, he can get an air up strong you and kill you at very early percents if you're not prepared for it, especially because that air up strong has a ridiculous base knockback. All his strongs have ridiculous knockback, man. All his air strongs especially, they're just so damn beefy, dude. You get hit by 1 at like any remotely high percent, you're getting sent flying. It's not gonna be pretty at all. He's just also so good at getting those grabs into that drop shine setup. He can just reaction tech chase you off of croutons, which are a very good projectile to have. He can just punish you for unsafe approaches with a grab. He gets it pretty easily, is what I'm trying to say. But aside from that, yeah, he's still a very good character. Again, as we already talked about, strongs are really good. He has a frame 2 wake up option with armored crust. Nair clanks with everything like Zims too, and strong dare is absurdly big. Even his recovery, some people don't think is very good, it's still better than you think, weirdly enough. If you're not prepared, he can just hit you with hitbox as coming out the toaster. And it just goes very far too, so man, it's not even a real weakness, I feel like. But now, Power Toast Man, very strong character. Shout out to Far, man. He's done a lot with this character. So I'm just shouting out homies now. I mean, shout out Thunder's Reign on the Leonardo, repping that character. Calvin Kyle, crazy with the Danny. Andrew V, the Lucy. Why did my friends play all these top tiers? Third place, we have April O'Neil. People were expecting this character to be good since we first saw her. And to no one's surprise, she's still very good. And it's like being good in both in terms of neutral and damage and just general advantage state. Both of those with her are very good. In terms of damage, strong dare, dude, it can do so much damage, just up throw or forward throw, I think. One of those into air down strong. Each hit does like 10 to 13%. One of those, I don't remember off the top of my head, but you can get insane damage very quickly into a tech chase scenario. And she can just strong dare you off the side after she gets a dash attack and hits you on the tech chase. So what can you really do? That's strong in there. The little boom arm too has a lot of range. That move alone makes up for her range issues in general. She's kind of privileged in that it happens with some other characters too, but she's just like one of the most infamous ones where she's just both light and has like a small frame. So she falls out of combos that a lot more often than other characters do. She generally just has a lot of ways to kill you and a lot of ways to out neutral you. And on top of that, her recovery is pretty good too. If you go from below, the recovery is not the best, but if you recover high, it's actually pretty hard to interrupt, especially since you want to cover her landing with a hitbox, but you just drop her down B camera on you, which also controls a good amount of space when it lands. So it's like, this character's crazy. And second best character we have here is the last Nair Bender. Aang right here. He has an amazing nair. I think let's get that part out of the way right now. His nair is stupid. He can combo himself multiple times, set him into easy tech chases, is very long range. That move does everything for his character pretty much. And even then he still has more stuff on top of that. Air up strong, for example, that move is freaking absurd. It has so much more range than the look of it would suggest. Also kills pretty early too if you hit it with it. I think he's the fastest character in the game, making his reaction tech chase game very scary because he can just chase after you in a rollaway and just dash attack you in reaction, which a lot of characters need a read to do that. Aang is not one of them. Aang is definitely not one of them. And since he can cancel dash attacks and anything, that naturally means a lot of time if that happens to you, you're getting dared off the stage. Steve has probably the best recovery in the game. Up special, snaps absurdly fast. Down B, airball is very good at just getting you closer to the stage. Also just good in general. Just there's a lot of times when you just airball and you just kind of can't really do much about it because he just moves so fast with it. Like he's just essentially a definition of a very simple but effective character. Even then he has even more room to innovate. He's just so good right now. And speaking of so good, we have the best character in this game. It was actually kind of a toss up between both Sponge and Aang, but I think Sponge narrowly beats him out in terms of viability. His combo game is by far the best in the game. If you've seen footage of this game with SpongeBob, you've seen the absurd juggles he can get off the nair and the up airs and the dares. You can lead that to a tech chase and get another absurd combo which leads to your death, and that's pretty much on just about every character in this game, if not every character you can do that on. And with that very strong combo game comes a very good neutral game that's helped a lot by Bubble, which is a very slow moving projectile you can dash attack off of, throw at people to get a level 2 projectile which can break through other projectiles. You can Z-drop them on and you can... SpongeBob be twerking on that bubble. That's all I can really say. And it just helps his general offense game a lot. He has some very great normals too. Jab is great, sets up into tech chases very easily and leaves them very close to you. Strongs are good. It's just, I don't know, this character just cheats. this character just cheats, man. But yeah, I think looking at this, I'm happy with this tier list. I think that's the current state of things right now. I'm very curious to see what the upcoming universal changes will bring to the meta. What do you think of this game? What do you think of this tier list too? Let me know in the comments. Appreciate you for watching this far if you got this far. And yeah, make sure to subscribe too. Keep an eye on this channel because we're going to be doing a lot more NASB. And also keep an eye on the tournaments that may be happening for this game because I'll probably be on the mic during a lot of them. And yeah, I don't know how to end it, so bye.